What's up, everybody? Welcome to Good Music America. It's Monday morning. Krams are here with my esteemed colleague, Joe. Joe, how you doing today, my friend?
Not great. Pipes froze yesterday, so I've been working through that. But things seem back to normal, so it's looking up. It's cold here.
Do you mean your house pipes or your vocal pipes? I know you do some background vocals.
The house pipes. Yes, my pipes are in tip-top form, of course.
Here, yeah, you sound great. All right, everybody. So you know the routine. We're gonna go through the past week with a little bit of music roundup, talk show discussion, and news. Bit of a slow news week, but if last week was the week of Valentine's Day and romance, we're on the other end of the spectrum with heartache, heartbreak, and divorce. Little bit of bittersweet for Kanye. He is divorced, getting divorced by Kim Kardashian, but he did win on Friday Album of the Year from You in 2004. So that's a little bit of a silver lining for him. I'm not a big Kanye fan. I am fascinated as a political junkie about what happened last year, but you're more of the Kanye guy. What happened? I don't know if a lot of our viewers are, big into Instagram and that whole culture, but what happened over the last decade that his just slow descent into madness and utter just chaos and now unfortunate divorce from Kim?
Well, I mean, I'm surprised the marriage to Kim lasted as long as it did, to be honest. That seemed like it was just going to be a train wreck right off the bat. Considering both of their pasts, it's not like it's a one-way street on that one. I think Kim has her own issues with marriage, as she's shown throughout the years, but without knowing the exact details of why everything kind of fell apart there, I think we can look back in the past, we say 15 years. I think that's pretty accurate. He kind of started way back in 2005, which is just after his debut album. I think it was around the time he was putting out his second album. And during the Hurricane Katrina relief concert that was all over TV, Kanye was with Mike Myers on TV. I think it was live, and Kanye decided to go off script and say George Bush doesn't care about black people, which really got some people talking. And that was just the beginning. I thought that was pretty funny personally, but it kind of kept going from there. He appeared on the cover of Rolling Stone in a crown of thorns, which was sort of controversial. He's always kind of had that Jesus figure, ego, self mentality going on. 2007, he lost all his nominations at the MTV Music Awards, said he would never come back. Of course, he came back 2 years later when he interrupted Taylor Swift, who was winning for Best Video, I believe, and took the mic, said, I'm gonna let you finish, but Beyonce had the best music video of all time.
My favorite part of that story is when Obama was doing some interview and they asked him just in between takes, they were like, did you hear what Kanye did or whatever? And he was like, he's a jackass, who cares? In the hot mic, that was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I think that one may have been overblown. Taylor Swift's kind of the golden child. I feel like if you interrupt someone to say Beyonce is the best of all time, usually that gets you praise. This was a rare occurrence. 2008, he got arrested for scuffling with paparazzi. There's the whole South Park episode where he was sort of, I don't know if he resented being portrayed on South Park, but he wrote on his blog, South Park murdered me last night, which is pretty funny. I was on his blog. Apparently he was a big blogger back in the day. And then, of course, he got into Twitter and a bunch of tweets about slavery and Kim Kardashian and his child, about whether or not they were going to keep her back when Kim was first pregnant. And then, of course, there's all the Trump stuff. Came out with the Make America Great Again hat and kind of, got behind Trump for a little while and then decided he was going to run for president, which didn't really work out. I don't think he got too many votes, but
Oddly got 10,000 votes in Tennessee. That's the state he performed like best in.
that's
Or
not
got
bad.
weird.
And then, I mean, ever since Twitter, I think was a big negative for him. Seems to be sort of a reoccurring problem for people with giant egos. They just can't stay off Twitter. And he was getting into beefs with Kim Kardashian's mom and all sorts of people, Trump, and just a bunch of political stuff about slavery and just kind of just off the handle. He's obviously, I don't know, I don't want to say, mentally ill, but it certainly seems like he has some sort of issue.
Didn't Kim say that he was diagnosed with bipolar, or they suspect that, or something like that? Borderline personality disorder, something.
Yeah, I think there was something, but I'm not sure exactly what the wording was. It's just, a lot of stuff. He's an egomaniac. He bought into his own hype after, his first 4 or 5 records all, sold close to 1 million in their first week and just crazy numbers. He was on top of the world. And, when you have no censor and you have no one around you to tell you maybe cool it a little bit, you're just going to, do whatever you want. And Twitter's a really bad avenue for some of these celebrities who just love themselves.
You think he's going to continue to make music? And if so, will it still be of the same quality? Is it a case of like the weirder he gets, the more genius his music gets for someone like you that likes his music?
It hasn't dropped off that much. It's definitely not quite the same for me because I kind of like that fun early Kanye the best. And now he's just so serious all the time. I think he's still a great producer, but it's been 15 years. It's hard to keep up his level of output, what he was doing for the first 5 or 6.
Well, mental illness, nothing to make fun of. So hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully he's just an asshole and he's, not actually sick. But
yes,
we'll see. Again, not a whole lot going on in music news. One story I thought was funny was Metallica did a live stream concert for some like video game convention, and one of the streaming services were afraid of getting into copyright trouble, so they dubbed over with like this like goofy carnival bells sounding like fairy tale song, and it looks really funny. I don't know exactly like what sort of copyright trouble they could have gotten into, since obviously like they were licensed to perform and all of this stuff. So maybe they were poking fun of them for like their old school mentality of staying off streaming services. I do think they are on streaming services now, but obviously they're famous for being the pioneers of the fight against Napster in the early 2000s and stuff like that. I thought that was funny. And if you guys out in YouTube haven't seen the mashup of Metallica and Huey Lewis in the News, Hip to Be Sandman, you got to check that out. Maybe one day we'll have an episode where we just kind of talk about our favorite goofy music YouTube channels and videos, because there's a ton, but that one has been viral fire lately and I love it. But other than that, not too much going on. One thing that we wanted to talk about, just to give everyone out there a heads up, we do have some plans for America's favorite March sports pastime, college basketball's March Madness, but we're going to flip it. We're going to do March Badness, and we want you guys to be a part of it. So stay tuned and look out for our community posts. We're going to be getting into more detail what's going on with that. But basically, like the classic basketball tournament, we're going to have brackets, ones with some of our worst albums of all time. And we want you guys getting into the comments, listing some of yours, and then we'll take, I guess it would be the top 8 or so, get them in there, and then we're going to have a big old tournament to figure out what the best worst album or the worst album is of the time. So it's not going to be cut the crap for me.
Start thinking about what albums you hate the worst. I got a whole lot in mind, but I definitely we're interested in seeing what the commenters have to say about what they hate the most as well.
Yeah, I mean, of the discographies we've done so far, there's a lot that come to mind. My front runner is probably Long Road Out of Eden by the Eagles, but I don't know. It could be anything at the moment at the bottom. And we're talking absolutely terrible, not just like really bad or disappointing, like, not just Push Play by Aerosmith, which I really didn't like, but just like the ear bleeding, like you have to hold your nose, it stinks so much kind of albums.
Like we're talking like Limp Bizkit, Chocolate Starfish, maybe something like Hoobastank. Nothing. Just because you don't like an artist or genre, that's not necessarily going to cut it. You really, these choices really have to be the worst of the worst. No, just because you don't like rap, something like that. If you nominate College Dropout or something else held in high esteem, it's not going to make it. But I mean, there's a lot of choices, a lot of bad music out there. So
I don't even know like if Limp Bizkit would do it for me because I know their most popular, probably best stuff, and don't like it at all. But they have to have like a worse album than the ones that are popular. So I don't even know. I'm ignorant to those, blissfully ignorant to those terrible Limp Bizkit albums.
So I think there's a couple maybe after they sort of got big. I mean, I'm not a Limp Bizkit fan by any means, but I don't absolutely hate some of their albums. But there's a couple like when they covered "Behind Blue Eyes" by the Who, like that has to be on the list of worst songs ever recorded. So whatever album that's on, maybe nominate that one.
Good call. Speaking of bad albums, well, I don't want to give away too many, but it's probably well known among our classic rock fans. Good time now to announce what our next discography we're going to rank is. Obviously, this week is the band, so I hope you guys are ready for that tomorrow. We'll be doing the albums Tuesday, favorite songs Wednesday, and then a pretty good side three on Thursday. But get nice week to prepare for the studio albums of Boston. Obviously, they have a very well regarded album, but the rest of the discography, I guess you'll have to wait and see what our opinions are. So, yeah, you got 7 to 8 days. Check out Boston. Guitar, 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 and high octave vocals. What we'd like to do to round out this episode, kind of follow up on a lot of discussion we had based off our previous side three video, which you guys knocked out of the park. Tons of discussion in the comments with you guys talking about 5-star albums. Not listing them, but what does a 5-star album mean? We've kind of been debating that. So I want to get what your thoughts are, and I want to continue this conversation going because to me, it's difficult because I always cataloged with 4 stars being the most. And now I sacrificed my own thing for the channel and I'm doing 5 stars. But I got a pretty good idea of where my star ratings lie. But what are you thinking?
My 5-star ranking system, and behind the scenes, I use a 10-point pitchfork like system just to make things easier. Because when you're listening to 150 albums in a year and you have 50 3-star albums and 30 4-star albums, it's hard to kind of differentiate them, especially if I listened to one 6 months ago. My 5 stars are what I consider classics, what I, keep in my, if I had a CD changer, the albums that I would keep in there that I can listen to anytime, that I think are, beyond what a normal artist is capable of. These are special, spectacular albums that either are, things I've never heard before, things that no other band did or could do, or just, exemplary playing, performing, writing. The 4 stars are albums I like, I think are great, but I might not ever listen to again. Something I rarely pull out. 4.5 and 5 stars are the ones that, make my regular rotation.
See, I think that's our biggest difference is I put a lot of stock in each kind of star segment. Like 4 stars are great to me. Great. 4.5, really great. 5 is like an undisputed masterpiece, which can either be something I'm totally blown away by, but don't have like an emotional connection to, something like Dark Side of the Moon, which I'm just blown away. It's just fantastic. It's astonishing. I love it, but like it's not like a something that's really sentimental to me or personally like affected by, compared to like something like The Bends by Radiohead. So, there's different reactions that give it 5 stars, but probably the biggest difference with me that probably confuses some people is like I'll give something 3 out of 5 stars, which in a lot of other publications is just like eh. To me, it's like a good album. I will listen to it again. 2.5 and below is where it's stuff that I probably won't reach for. But yeah, we need to talk about this because I get so confused with you, especially sometimes. Especially the R.E.M. one was the one that threw me because you were like, I think they're so overrated. They're fine. I don't really like them that much. And then you're like, here's 10 4-star albums. And I was like, to me, that's what makes them one of my favorite bands. Like 10 4-stars, that's an incredible performance.
Yeah, I feel like when I'm talking about a band, and I need to stop doing this because it definitely has, confused you and other people. When I'm talking about an REM or some of these bands that are held in just so high regard. You look at, all-time greatest lists, you see REM stuff all over it. And that's fine. I like REM. I think they're great. 5 stars for Automatic for the People. A couple 4.5s, bunch of 4s. I always sort of compare them in my own head to like what other people think. So I'm always sort of like, the band REM, they're not that great. And then I listen to them like, okay, they're great. This is a great album. So it's really when I complain about something, it's sort of like I'm taking it personally, what the critics have said about them and what other people think about them. And I need to stop doing that because it's unfair to the artist. I need to just go in with an open mind. And I would have said, hey, REM, great band, tons of 4-star, all-time classic 5-star album, is what I should have said instead of being like, yeah, well, they're good, but they're not all-time good. So I got to stop that. That's my fault. It's mea culpa to REM.
Well, don't beat yourself up too much. The stars are arbitrary at times. But I can't do the out of 10 thing. For me, like I had 33.5 stars, and I don't want to get into like the 7.8, 7.9 because realistically, I can't really tell which ones I like more. That's why I just kind of like lumping them together. But it's not the most virtuous thing in the world, just spending your time giving star ratings. So it doesn't really matter too much, but it does matter to me a lot for some reason.
I do it, for the end of the year lists. I like to know, instead of having to categorize, oh, I like this one 23rd and this one 24th, at least then I have sort of something to refer to. It's not completely accurate, let's be honest, but I try to get at least the top 25 kind of dead on. And then everything else is sort of like, well, this is how I felt that day. And that's what I'm going with. So.
Yeah, I can't put my finger on what the difference between 4.5 and 5-star is, but like I know it when I see it. Last year, the only 5-star I gave was American Head by Flaming Lips. Don't have a 5-star yet, but I got close this week. Let's get into some album reviews. I'll kick it off. It was a good week. I listened to 3 new albums. I listened to Good Woman by the Staves, which you liked from last week. I liked it a lot. 3.5 stars, I'm going. It's got like these nice, warm, heavenly with like streaks of like unaware perkiness. Vocals, just like kind of like melted candy. A lot of it is really uplifting. I liked it a lot. New Fragility by Clap Your Hands, Say Yeah. I'm getting 3.5, almost 4. It's really good, but it does have some moments of melodramatic, like sappiness in moments where I don't think it's meant to be. And that kind of just takes it down a little bit. It's kind of something that I'm fearful when I like write songs where I'm like, all right, am I just being like pure and honest with these lyrics, or are these just cheesy as hell and way too sentimental, which is kind of what I felt with some moments on this album. But my new early front runner for album of the year is going to be ones that everyone pretty much has lauded in our comments section. For the first time by Black Country New Road, I'm going 4.5 out of 5. Probably closer to 4 with another listen it might go down. I might just be super excited about it because it doesn't sound like anything else going on right now. It's really takes all these unexpected twists and turns, unprecedented. None of like the moves, like where the songs shift, are really like provoked by much. It's like really visceral and bold, kind of proggy and instrumental, but has like a really like venomous, like mid 90s, like almost like hum, or like I don't want to say helmet. It's really unique, but it's got a lot of cool things going on with it. Thanks everyone for recommending it, and I think everyone should check it out. 4.5 stars for the first time. Black Country New Road.
Well, if you're waiting for me to give an album review, Krams, there, I did not listen to anything this week.
Stuff I do have on my radar that I want to get to is the new Holsteady album and Cassandra Jenkins. Jason said he loved it. Everyone's saying they loved it. Pitchfork has it as their stamp for best new music, which seems weird because it does seem like more of like a straight up rock album from what I read, which they usually don't go for. And a couple albums I mentioned last week, like Mush, I still have to get around to. But yeah, I got all my band listening done. Obviously, we'll check that out tomorrow. And then Boston the week after that. If you're out there and you don't know about Austin's catalog, just a little bit of a trailer. The 13 songs on the radio that you really like pretty much all come off of one or a little bit of another album, and that's about it. But that's all I really want to give away for Boston. Stay tuned tomorrow and the rest of the week for the band, and then albums of the year 2005 on Friday. We also got a couple other like little niche videos we're trying out. We do have a cool little video that we alluded to during R.E.M. week coming out, where we are going to resequence the tracks of Out of Time. So stay tuned for that. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell for notification. Check out our social media on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Let us know what you're thinking about Kanye and Kim's divorce. Probably don't care at all like me. But yeah, and hopefully we will talk to you guys tomorrow about the band. Thanks for watching and have a good week.